In the beginning of the episode we see the protagonist Oren Dura slaying a bunch of horned rabbits in a dungeon. Seeing that he isn't struggling that much, Oren determines that he hasn't lost his touch as a swordsman yet. A group of goblins approach him, so he first uses a support magic spell on himself, strengthening both his physical capabilities and his sword. Oren explains to us viewers that normally support magic is used to help the other members in an adventuring party, but since he's going solo, he has to put it on himself. He easily cuts through all of the goblins, but more goblins keep coming in his way. Oren is also trying to keep track of how long his support magic lasts, and according to him, it has already been 2.5 minutes. Eventually the effects of the spell run out, but the good thing is he still has a lot of mana left since he's going solo, so he strengthens himself again and continues to slay the incoming monsters. He explains that how long a support magic spell lasts depends solely on the individual's magic resistance, and in his case, the spell lasts for 3 minutes in total. Keeping track of the time, Oren continues to recast the support spell seconds before the timer runs out, and explains that normally someone ordinary like him wouldn't act like the jack of all trades. He claims that he was once an enchanter before he was forced to leave his party out of nowhere. A flashback shows that 2 nights ago, Oliver, the leader of Oren's party, approached him along with the other party members. As Oliver tells Oren about his decision, Oren initially assumes this is some kind of an unfunny joke since he and Oliver are close childhood friends. The same could be said for Oliver as well, which is why Oliver claims he has tolerated Oren's incompetence for such a long time, but now Oliver has had it. The others, Anneli and Derek, also back him up, stating that Oren does nothing but slow them down. Oren can't believe this is happening. He remembers the day 8 years ago when he and Oliver together formed this party. They grew this party from scratch and in just a couple of years, reached the S rank. They apparently even attained the title of the Heroes Party after becoming the only team to have cleared the 94th floor of the Great Dungeon of South. So to Oren, it feels like he is losing both kids in a divorce. Oren better. Oren begs for another chance, demanding Oliver to explain why he suddenly has this change of heart. Oliver explains that during the joint raid a few weeks ago, he witnessed how incredibly strong the enchanters of other S-ranked parties were. This made Oliver and the other members understand how weak Oren is, and that's why they don't want him in their team anymore. Oren defends himself, stating that he is a swordsman, so he definitely will not be as good as an enchanter. But even so, he has achieved great feats like creating his own magic and whatnot. Derek doesn't care, stating that Oren only switched his role because Oliver is better than him with the sword. Oren disagrees, stating that he only switched roles because he was the one who had the most aptitude for it. He even claims that they have survived on the deepest floors of the dungeon because of his special self-made magic spells. Oliver doesn't care. He reveals that he has already selected a replacement enchanter and apologizes to Oren for betraying him. With a heavy heart, Oren accepts his fate and walks away in silence. But Anneli stops him, wanting to vent out her frustration one last time, calling him a jack of all trades, a clown who thinks he can do everything. Back in the present, Oren is still inside the dungeon, and he admits that he is kind of a jack of all trades as he's acting as both an enchanter and a swordsman. But he vows to become the best at both, so the likes of Anneli can never call him names again. After clearing the dungeon floor, Oren heads to the teleportation crystal to leave, when he notices a group of frantic adventurers running there, talking to themselves with guilt about how they abandoned a girl while fighting the orcs. Their leader tries to defend himself, saying that he had no other option but to sacrifice the girl since she only joined their party today. Hearing their conversation, Oren relates to the girl as he too has been abandoned by his comrades. He confronts the group, berating them for making excuses after leaving a person to die. He then makes them tell him where they left the girl and immediately rushes to save her. The girl is an enchanter and has put a barrier between her and the orcs. However, her magic isn't great, so she cries for help, begging someone to save her. Fortunately for her, the second the barrier breaks, Oren makes it there, using a wind spell to create damage. Distance between him and the monsters. Then he strengthens himself with support magic before taking on the monsters alone. His skills leave the girl in shock as she just can't determine if this guy is a swordsman or an enchanter. She has never seen someone cut through orcs like butter with such precision and is left completely stunned. As Auron defeats all of the orcs by himself, the girl falls down on her knees, crying, as she can't believe the fact that she is still alive. Auron brings her out of the dungeon, but as he's about to leave, the girl asks him to tell her his name. She first introduces herself as Sophia Claudel, and Auron realizes that she's someone he knows judging by her family name. Auron introduces himself as well and is about to leave again, but Sophia stops him, begging him to let her treat him to dinner as a thank you. Auron reluctantly tells her that this won't be necessary, but as she keeps on insisting with her puppy dog eyes, he agrees. Sophia brings him to a shop with the rabbit's crest, and there, Auron recalls seeing the same crest on Sophia's cape earlier. He becomes certain that Sophia is a member of one of the biggest guilds called Night Sky Silver Rabbits. Anyway, they enter the place, and inside, Sophia finds her elder sister Selma, who came here for a business meeting. Seeing Sophia with a man makes Selma suspect that her little sister is in a relationship, so she scolds Sophia, telling her that she is not old enough to have a boyfriend, but Sophia clarifies that it's nothing like that. Selma takes a closer look, and recognizes Auron. Auron seems to know Selma as well. According to him, Selma is the leader of the strongest S-ranked party in her guild, and she is the most powerful enchanter on this continent. Apparently, Selma came up with the idea to have different party members with different roles, and thanks to her, the meta changed completely. Auron kind of blames Selma because if she didn't come up with this idea, he wouldn't have had to switch his role from a swordsman to an enchanter. To explain how they met, Auron recalls the joint raid a few weeks ago, which once again reminds him of how Oliver kicked him from his party. In any case, he doesn't quite understand Selma's expressions, so he asks her if she is mad at him or something. As Selma calls Auron out for trying to go after her little sister, Auron realizes the misunderstanding. He explains that he only came here to have dinner with Sophia and has no interest in her at all. This somehow infuriates Selma even more as she just cannot accept the fact that this guy indirectly said that Sophia isn't good enough for him. Before Selma can drag this any further, Sophia stops her, explaining to her that Orhan saved her life. Hearing this, Selma figures that Sophia went to the dungeon alone, despite her disapproval. Selma's original plan was to bring Sophia to the dungeon the day after tomorrow, so it upsets her that Sophia couldn't resist the urge for a few days. Regardless, since Sophia is safe, Selma forgives her and makes her promise that she won't do something reckless again. Then she thanks Auron for saving Sophia and apologizes at the same time for being rude seconds ago. The three of them join to have dinner together and Selma recalls the day they met during the joint raid. Because both Selma and Auron took the role of enchanters, they were stationed together. Selma appreciates Orhan helping her during the raid, stating that his support magic helped a lot. Sophia is surprised to learn that her sister knows Auron when she has no clue who this guy is. She curiously asks Selma if Auron is someone famous, and in reply, Selma tells her that Auron is actually a former member of the Heroes Party. But that's not the case anymore, and as Auron reveals that he was let go a few days ago, Selma figures that he's a free agent now. So she uses this opportunity and asks him to go with her guild on their training expedition tomorrow. According to Selma, the teaching expedition will be led by a group of A-rankers who will be in charge of teaching new recruits by speedrunning 50 floors of the dungeon. Normally, it takes months to clear this many floors, but Selma claims to know a shortcut, and there's also the fact that she's being pressured by the sponsors. Auron suspects there's something else, and figures out that this expedition is actually going to be used to help the new recruits gain experience and level up easily. Selma is amazed to see that he has figured it out. She admits that this is true, and explains that in the dungeons, floor bosses appear every 10 floors, and newbies aren't good enough to take them down on their own. So if a veteran adventurer does this for them, they can easily head on to the next floor. Since Selma considers Auron an experienced top-ranked adventurer, he's not going to be able to do it alone. She requests him to take this job, offering to compensate him well for it. Her pleading makes Oren happy, but what he doesn't understand is why she is giving him such importance. His own teammates kicked him out, calling him a loser with weak magic. He doesn't want to be an enchanter anymore, so he reluctantly refuses. But then Sophia, with her puppy dog eyes, begs him, saying she really needs him there. So Oren somewhat changes his mind, not promising anything to them, but tells them that he will think about it. He also clarifies to them that he is now a swordsman, and if he ends up agreeing to join the expedition, he will only be joining as a swordsman. Selma is surprised by Oren's decision as she doesn't know yet that Oren was originally a swordsman, but she accepts it anyway, thinking that if something bad happens, Oren will switch back to being an enchanter. In any case, she tells him to be at the headquarters of the Silver Rabbits Guild if he decides to join them. With that, Oren leaves, and heads to an old man's store. The old man serves him tea, asking him how his day went. He then thanks Oren for advertising his store, stating that since then, his sales have really been booming. However, Oren apologizes, stating that he won't be able to advertise it anymore, as he's no longer a member of the heroes' party. The old man realizes that Oren has lost his self-confidence, so he encourages him, telling him that regardless of his title, he is still the same person, so he should start living for himself and help others like he used to. Hearing such warm words makes Oren emotional, and he, with a heavy voice, thanks the old man. The next early morning, Oren heads to the Silver Rabbits Guild, and finds Selma standing at the front gate. It looks like she has been eagerly waiting for him, and he thanks her for it. She expresses how glad she is that he decided to join them, and also notices that he looks much livelier than he did the previous day. Oren explains that he's just kind of relieved to be out of the heroes' party and is looking forward to seeing how his new journey will unfold. If you liked this video, hit the subscribe button.